This week in news, no Switch Pro, Xbox's game lineup, and lawsuit. Extra, extra, hear all about it. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast where you decide, well, whether we're lazy fucks that didn't make a doc and have been using the same doc for the last 3 weeks. I'm the Dean of Games, the Dean Slater on all platforms, and joining me from twitch.tv/LMJ the Hitman, we have Landen.
Hello, don't judge us for the laziness. It's the holidays, or the holidays just were right behind us. We still get the free pass. I'm hoping so, at least.
And
hello. Sorry.
You're good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I am got my coffee in me. I'm awake now, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I'm about to go to sleep. We should have discussed this before the podcast, but our recording schedule might be changing up a little bit depending on how things go. But we'll discuss that later. From Twitch's graveyard, we have Gavin.
I'm gonna be honest, I am a lazy fuck, so if you judge me, that's on you.
Yeah, well, how are you doing?
I'm so fucking, so much weight has been lifted off my shoulders because I finally am back on my normal rotation at work.
No, because you're working tonight.
Shut the fuck up, Dean.
We voted. We voted that you were.
You voted.
You can't not try to beat the record for most consecutive days worked.
Don't do it, dude.
Decided...
Mental health over everything.
I done told you and our south of the border friend that the only way I'm ever beating his record is with cocaine. Like that's just how it's gonna be. But anyways, I just worked the last 10 days straight, and I'm finally getting 2 days off.
We can have Landen pull some strings. He knows a guy.
We know the power of managers seeing Landen in the nude.
Unfortunately, that's very true.
It's like that wasn't pulled on my ass. That's actually a fact.
I forgot about that. Oh, that was so great.
It's just through a camera that I was not aware of. If anything, I am the victim here. I am the victim here. So,
but yeah. So not only did I think it was Tuesday morning, Danielle was taking me home, and she goes like, "Wait, you have 2 days off coming up, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You should work those days." I'm like, "No." She's like, "But you should." And then Dean comes to pick me up for work that night. He goes like, "I think you should work Wednesday and Thursday." I'm like, "You motherfuckers!" I was like, "All of you, all of you trying to get me work more. Stop."
We're just looking out for you. That rent is pretty pricey.
You guys are looking out for you because y'all know that y'all's jobs suck when I'm not there.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Y'all don't have anybody to carry you on their back.
This is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast, covering the news leading up to Sunday, January 8th, correct? Yeah, January 8th, 2023.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, so if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefingroom. So Gavin goes, "Hey, you've made a mistake in the edit for the podcast." I go, "What?" And he goes, "You put it as January 1st, 2022, and I didn't think anything of it. What he said, I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. I actually uploaded it on January 2nd because we had a lot of audio issues. I had to correct. Landon, you had some audio issues too. It wasn't just Gavin's headset. You had some issues too.
Yeah,
I could not fix your issues.
It's okay. I think, well, I'm on a new headset now, so hopefully that'll help.
But I so the computer took a while to render because I had to make more edits than usual, and every change you make, that's more the computer has to process, and so I didn't actually have the file ready until the 2nd, and so I was like, oh yeah, it's because I didn't have the file ready. He goes, no, Dean, you're not getting it. It says January 1st, 2022. I go, oh yeah, it's not 2022, is it? But
yesterday was still 2020 to me because it just seems like it was just yesterday.
oh yeah. So let's go ahead and get into some news. This first news story, I don't remember what podcast it was, but I kind of predicted it. I was like, yeah, I doubt that. I think they're just going to go with new rather than iterate. Analyst doesn't expect next-gen Nintendo console. Or doesn't expect that. The whole story, I don't know what the deal with this headline is. Sorry. I did not make a doc, so I'm just reading off articles. But they won't have. Essentially, the story is the Switch Pro that everyone had been predicting for years was the OLED, but they decided just to put an OLED screen on it and not change any of the processing power because they want to make a new Switch. And that won't be until at least 2024 when we get that console.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's so upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? That Tears of the Kingdom will have an HD remaster right when that console comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that sucks. I
So-
almost don't even feel... I feel so discouraged from their games already because of Pokemon. And Pokemon has a hard
Yeah.
time running. Then how is this new Zelda supposed to... Is this new Zelda supposed to be better than the last? And if it is, then there's that much more of a chance for it to not run that good.
So it's weird to me because based on how they track these things, I don't understand how Nintendo tracks a lot of their shit. But anyway, so Nintendo followed up the DS with the 3DS, right? 3DS ended up selling that family system ended up selling out pretty well. But the very beginning of that console life cycle, everyone's like, 3DS, what the fuck were they thinking? And then you look at their actual home consoles, right? You have the Nintendo Entertainment System was followed up by the Super NES, which was a phenomenal system. But you look at the rest of their history, N64 was followed up by GameCube, and I love the GameCube. But GameCube was definitely a disappointment, just numbers-wise, right? So then they put out the Wii. What a system seller the Wii was. So they put out the Wii U.
No longer the system seller.
No. So for me, hearing that the Switch has been so successful, they're not going to iterate. They're just going to create a follow-up console. I'm just like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this one bit.
I don't either.
You don't have a great track record of following up a successful console. It's been a hot minute since the you could argue they did a pretty good job of going from Game Boy, Game Boy to DS. But again, they consider 3DS separate from DS. And initially, that was a disappointment compared to the DS. And then you look at the consoles, and they haven't successfully followed up since their initial console.
Fair, like, I know that they only can do this because they're sitting at 118 million Switches sold right now. So that their numbers are crazy. They're most likely going to get second place. They're in third place right now for most consoles sold. They're most likely going to get second place and might even grab first place. So they really don't need to mess with that too much. Like messing around with like a new console, they know they're fine. They're saturated very well, and they continue to saturate the market. But the thing is, I feel like they're starting to get bad press from like Pokemon and gaming, media, and just the users out there starting to feel the lack of love from that console. And I also believe that if Zelda doesn't work perfectly, like what people want, at least like Breath of the Wild, like there's no way that the media is not going to eat them alive. Like there's no way. And then you got the Steam Deck right around, like not, it is out, but it's like more accessible and anybody can just buy without having to like put on a backlog. And the fucking Steam Deck is huge right now, at least media wise. I don't think it's not selling like fucking the Switch is selling. But at some point, that's another person that's going against them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I would say the Steam Deck is almost more of a competitor to them than PlayStation or Xbox.
It's hands down a far better piece of equipment than the any model of the Switch, for sure.
Yeah. And it's kind of heavy too, like, but not in a bad way. Like
no, it feels like a good piece of machinery. It doesn't feel like you're gonna break it. It feels like it's sturdy and it has some heft to it, but like enough heft to like hold it like a real controller. And yeah, I like that thing. I'm not gonna drop any money on it anytime soon, but I really like that thing.
Yeah. What do you think, Gavin? You're pretty quiet in this discussion.
Do you want a new Switch? Are you concerned about having a new Switch?
Nah, I've never really been a Nintendo kind of kid. Like I don't know. It's like I like the game concepts and the characters, but it's not enough for me to like be able to play Switch. So I never really cared. But I'm hate to disappoint you boys, but I was not paying attention at all to that entire thing. I was ordering food.
What'd you get?
Yeah,
I got Taco Bell.
Oh,
breakfast Taco Bell, nice.
Oh, not even breakfast Taco Bell. I just got Taco Bell. Let me go look at my order real quick. I got a Nachos Bell Grande.
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
Spicy double steak grilled cheese burrito. And a Chipotle ranch grilled chicken burrito because I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But I was like, you know what? 2 days off, just got paid. Gotta treat myself.
You got paid?
Yeah, he gets paid a day early.
I get paid 2 days early because my bank is off.
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna be paid tonight. So
yeah, as long as they put out the details of how much I'm getting paid, my bank will pay me up to 2 days early. So I get paid on Tuesdays, but I also do weekly pay through the Even app. So I get paid Tuesdays on pay week, but every week in between pay week, I get paid Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do believe the Switch, Nintendo needs to be dropping a new console at some point. But if they do it, it's to satisfy. They don't. It's not because they need to. They need to do it for good press, like for like the good.
Yeah.
Nintendo. And it also needs to be accessible to where all the old Nintendo works on this new Nintendo. Just make it a stronger Nintendo console, like the 3DS, and then just start slowly making 3DS style, like exclusive over time, exclusive pro versions of the Switch
Yeah.
games over time.
I just, I love Nintendo so much. I grew up with Nintendo. My first home console was the GameCube, and my first video game that I've ever owned was a Game Boy Pocket. So I have a deep place in my heart for Nintendo. But fuck if they don't annoy the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
They're like the kid that like, hey, I need you to put that away, and the little kid says no and decides not to put it away because it's the opposite, right? But when
yeah,
they do the opposite, you're trying to teach them a lesson like, well, that's gonna end up in a bad thing, and then the kid's like, no, it won't, and the kid keeps doing it anyways. But good things are happening to the kid. They're like, stop it! You need to have some sort of lesson. You need to learn your lesson. That you need to be good to us. You need to be nice to us and give us extra things that we're not necessarily asking for, but we want,
yeah.
and what we're asking for as well.
And the thing is, the Switch came out pretty much. We can safely say it pretty much came out at the end of the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 generation. I know they still lasted another 3 years after that, but I think you can basically say it came out half, at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
It runs like a 360 PS3, system. And it's just like, man, just stay up to date. I understand they're wanting to keep the price point low, so that way they can be the quote family system or whatever. I understand wanting to keep the price point low, but like, man, the amount of distance in tech between them and everyone else is crazy. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm not even a graphics person, but even outside of graphics, processing has gotten so much better.
So much better. I mean, we're talking about like a product from 2017, early 2017, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's March.
It's old now, and it was like, I mean, for its time, it worked really well for what it was, but it quickly got outdated when it
Yeah.
released.
But
And
see,
that was a long time ago.
and I like the podcast, but on the Kit and Krista podcast, they said something that I could not agree with them at all. And they were like, "Well, if you start with older tech, you can make the lifespan longer." It's like, what are you talking about? If you start with older tech, your lifespan's actually shorter because the tech is already old to start with, so you already get past, and games start performing poorly.
Yeah. I mean, and if you make good consoles and like Xbox and PlayStation, by the time the PlayStation hit 2020, and that's the same year the PS5 came out, but they hit 2020, they dropped The Last of Us 2. And The Last of Us 2 looked absolutely beautiful, almost impossible that it was even on a PS4. Seemed like it was already next gen. And when you get to that point where it's like right at that tipping point, like there's no way they can do more than this. There's the new console right there, so you don't have to worry. Like, okay, I can buy this next one, and I can go back to my games being just fine and looking even better now.
Yeah, man,
because if you have a PS4 still, like you're playing any of the like God of War, I'm sure God of War still runs fine on PS4, but I've heard complaints about Horizon Forbidden West. Like playing on the older consoles while trying to play new stuff, it don't work out. But having the option to upgrade helps, and Switch doesn't have that. And you
Yeah.
actually have the opposite. They keep dropping games that came out 5 years ago, and they're like, but now it's on the Switch.
Yeah. So you bring up Last of Us 2. That was a beautiful game. And it came out at a weird time where
Mm-hmm.
like I did end up watching someone stream it at twitch.tv/LMJ the Hitman. But it was a weird thing because I really could not get into that game at all because it dropped the week my grandpa died.
Oh,
It's like this was looking forward to this game, but this game is already so heavy and I'm already dealing with some shit.
so heavy. The game is so emotional and
And
drags you through. It drags you through the mud.
it drags you through the mud. It happened in the throes of the pandemic. And like I said, for me personally, throes of the pandemic, it's already a heavy game. And then my grandpa died. I was like, it's watching you play, and I was like, you know, I'm here to support you, but man, I cannot get behind this game right now. Sorry.
I don't blame you.
So next up, FTC says there are currently no. What's up? Or was that just someone's phone buzzing?
That was a buzz. It ain't me.
All right.
Blame Danielle. Blame Danielle for ruining the podcast.
So FTC says there's currently no substantive settlement talks with Microsoft over Activision deal. Yay, we get to talk more Activision Blizzard. The first real story we ever covered on this podcast just keeps giving and is not taketh away. So the Federal Trade Commission said that there have been no settlement talks with Microsoft over the company's proposed $69 billion billion-dollar deal to acquire Activision Blizzard. It's unclear just how much communication has occurred between the two sides. If it goes to trial, it would be judged by Michael Chappelle during hearings set to take place in August. And then the acquisition will face the European Union at the end of March. It is still possible that both sides could agree to concessions before trial. Microsoft, of course, would note that regulators have not blocked the deal. In December, if you remember, the FTC was like, no, we're going to file a lawsuit against Microsoft. Which it argues would suppress competitors. The acquisition of a single game by the third-party console manufacturers cannot upend a highly competitive industry, according to Microsoft and Activision. Of course, regarding Call of Duty. And yeah, it's just a lot more
shenanigans.
Yeah, a lot more shenanigans, essentially, is all that's going
on. Yeah, annoying shenanigans. I can't wait till this is over. It seems to be like it's crazy to hear these things for the audience and for like all the consumers, but
yeah,
for them, like in the offices of Sony and Microsoft and all these firms, it's fucking crazy. Like they're going, it's nuts. It's absolutely insane. All the information that's gonna be released is maybe getting pushed, or like, hey, this might be brought up in the case, so we can't really announce this game. Like, I want to talk about quick rant. Okay, you set me off for just a little bit because Xbox, all right, they weren't at the Game Awards like at all, and. No. It has to. I wholeheartedly believe it has to do with this lawsuit that's going on because we're not getting jack shit from Xbox. And I know they got like Fables, they got Perfect Dark Zero, Fable, Perfect Dark Zero. They've got Gears of War. They have all these games, and I'm missing some, like Indiana Jones. They have all these games that, dude, like I already know about. Hellblade 2, we already know about from like 3 to 4 years ago. These games are ready to release. This should be the year. 23 and 2024 should be an onslaught of Xbox exclusives. These are the years for it. And we don't know jack shit for some reason. And it's this lawsuit is tying up Xbox from having this giant reveal of all this. This is going to be the year for Xbox as long as this deal can go through. As soon as it goes through, they're going to be like, fucking look at all of this. It's coming out this year. Xbox is going to be huge. I promise it's going to be huge.
So
those games are ready. I'm telling you that those games are ready.
Yeah.
Every single one of them I talked about have been in development for 3 to 4 plus years.
Yeah.
They're ready.
No, they are. I'm very convinced, and we're going to be, believe me, we're going to be talking about a couple of their games here following this story. But they I don't remember what podcast it was. I was listening to a podcast. It had to have been like in late November, early December. So it's been a while. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I have 40 hours worth of podcasts I listen to. I can't keep track of all this shit.
So yeah.
But they mentioned that they were at like a party, and someone at the party worked at Microsoft, not at Xbox, at the actual Microsoft that makes, Office and, Windows and everything. And she asked him if he had heard about this deal, and he's like, yeah, I heard about the deal. Apparently, all of Microsoft is shut down. Like, even outside of Xbox, all of Microsoft is shut down for this deal. Like, it's all hands on deck. Which is crazy to me that, Xbox is such a small part of what Microsoft does. It's crazy to me that Microsoft has essentially shut down everything for this one Xbox thing. But yeah, no, I agree. They're holding back. I do think they're holding back because of all the litigation and everything going on.
For sure.
I'm just ashamed of you, though, that you just want this to end. Again, this was the first story we ever covered on this podcast.
God damn, that's crazy.
Gavin, you'll love this. So, when we were coming up with the podcast, we're like, oh man, like the first podcast we'll do is, us introducing ourselves and, talking about our expertise as far as gaming. And then the second episode we'll go into stories. But we're really going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel because there's no news stories. That second episode, literally the day before, Xbox is like, yeah, we're going to buy Activision.
Yeah, big old mic drop. It has been going on for a year.
Yeah. Because our first episode was January 15th, so it would have been
right around the corner.
It would have been between the 15th and the 22nd. That, man. Oh boy. Yeah, some of the stories, and also, like, again, some of the stories have just been funny, especially on the Sony side. Like,
oh, yeah. The pettiness.
well, I understand that Sony needs to fight it as much as they can, like, just to get, just to try to keep the deal from happening, because it's beneficial to them. I understand that side of it. Oh my god, some of the stuff they've said has just been like, what the fuck? Like, Microsoft is trying to turn us into Nintendo. Oh, it's been great. It's been a great
It
story.
has been great.
But yeah, no, it's getting close to running its course, and like I said, the March they're gonna be is when the European Union is happening, and then August is when the FTC is happening. And they'll make the settlements that they need to make in order to get it. This is nowhere near the level of Disney buying Fox, you know. So, and that one went through too. Anyway, getting back on, talking about Xbox games. You mentioned it before.
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda reiterates Starfield will release in the first half of this year.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
In follow-up story, Redfall is reportedly targeting May release. So Starfield and Redfall.
So I mean, we're getting Starfield in March. I say March, maybe early April, late March, early April. That's my guess.
They definitely don't want to launch it at the same time as Redfall. So yeah, if they are aiming
or Tears of the Kingdom as well, they got to stay away from that as well. There's some haymakers coming up this year.
If Redfall is targeting May, Redfall will be the one going up against Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh man, we need to have a segment dedicated to our predictions of Game of the Year for 2023. because they got some huge, like Spider-Man 2 is this year. You got Starfield. You have Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure I'm missing some.
You're missing the greatest game that we've ever seen, Forspoken.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people are gonna forget about that one really quick. Really, really quick.
Yeah, let's see. What else is there? You're right. There's so many games coming out, and I'm just drawing a blank on literally all of them. But yeah, so if Redfall's targeting May, which is when Tears of the Kingdom is coming out, which I don't think Redfall will be going directly against Tears of the Kingdom. Those are two wildly different games. I think Starfield honestly is closer to what Tears of the Kingdom would be than Redfall. So I think Redfall would be safe in May, despite Tears of the Kingdom. But if they're aiming for May for Redfall, and they're targeting the first half of the year for Starfield, yeah, it would have to be March, because you want to give players plenty of time to get through, playing Starfield and buying Starfield and stuff before you put out your next thing. So that would be a pretty safe bet if that's the case. I both am excited and nervous about Starfield, if I'm being
honest. All I got to do is spend $15 for Games Pass, and boom,
yeah.
I got the game for a month to see if I like it.
Yeah, I'm just like they really need to start selling this, selling us on this game, because like what a lot of people online are just going, oh yeah, it's Skyrim meets what the Hello Games game. I'm drawing a blank on it. No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Skyrim meets No Man's Sky. And I don't know that they want Starfield to be associated like that. And if they don't want Starfield to be associated like that, they need to start fucking talking about this game. Start selling us on why it's not Skyrim meets No Man's Sky.
Game Awards would have been a really, really good place for that.
And again, like you had mentioned, I'm sure a lot of it's been, they're all on hands on deck for this acquisition, but you can't do that to the detriment of projects you have coming out,
Yep, exactly.
and that's what makes me nervous. Yeah, I don't. Gavin, have you seen any clips from Starfield?
I may have, and I've just forgotten, but I know I've heard the name around.
Yeah, it's Bethesda Game Studios, so it is in fact the people that made Skyrim, and it's a space game. There's like 1,000 planets or something that are explorable.
Yeah,
Like that.
which is insane.
Yeah. I'll send you a clip of gameplay.
All right.
Copy link. There we go. And I'm putting it in the Discord.
Yeah, I don't know how the gameplay looks all right to me.
Yeah. And honestly, the other thing is like the Fallout games, phenomenal games.
Myself while I watch this.
You have watched that?
I'm gonna mute myself while I watch this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
They're the Fallout gunplay, not great.
No, honestly, once you go back to them, games have done such better jobs at combat nowadays compared to what they have.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
We'll see what happens with the game.
yeah, I like the ship customization. That's the thing that really got me. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. Like the amount of options you have. I saw some options they were throwing out, and I was like, there's a mech anime I'm pretty big into. People that have watched the at YouTube at the briefing room on YouTube, they know that there's a big mech anime I'm into. I saw enough pieces from them customizing. I was like, oh, I can build a ship from that franchise I love through the customization. But yeah, the whole collect resources and
yeah, they got like base building and stuff, and they had that in Fallout 4. I was like, wow, that's gonna be so cool. And then I spent hours on it, and then I was like, why am I even doing this? I hope there's purpose. I hope there's purpose.
I skimmed through really quick, and it looks cool as shit. But like, I understand what you're saying with like the Skyrim meets No Man's Sky thing. But I feel like a more appropriate thing for you two would have said would have been like Fallout meets. No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think people say Skyrim because Skyrim was one of those like, you had to be there at that moment kind of things, whereas Fallout hasn't had, it's had success obviously, but it's never had the Skyrim moment, which is why I think they automatically go Skyrim.
I was like, I mean, yeah, I get it because it's got that same Bethesda feel as Skyrim and Fallout does, but here's the difference: guns.
Yeah. Yeah, well, while you were skimming through, we mentioned Fallout gunplay, not great, which has me nervous about the gunplay for this. I think the base building will be better than Fallout 4's base building because...
Oh shit, my food, boys, we'll be right back.
Alright. Because there are multiple planets or whatever, so I feel like there will be more substance to the base building in this compared to Fallout, where you really don't necessarily need to make a base,
Mm-hmm.
For Fallout 4, it definitely felt thrown in. This makes a little bit more sense to have in this game, but
Yeah.
And we haven't even discussed Arcane. Arcane's Redfall. Arcane, phenomenal studio. I'm not really excited. I'm not super excited for Redfall.
I just got a feeling it's gonna be a lot more like Back 4 Blood, where people are like into it for 2 weeks. They get into the content, and they're like, okay, we did the content, and then now the rest of the content is kind of doing the same thing in a different way.
Yeah.
So I could see that. Not going well.
I think it'll be a big Gavin game, though.
What's gonna be a big Gavin game?
Redfall. I'm sending you the link.
Oh, hell the fuck yeah, it is.
Oh, you have seen it already?
Fuck no, but still.
It's hello, come on.
I don't think you understand. I'm a bitch for the Elder Scrolls.
This is a little bit different. It's from the people that made Prey. And I don't know why it's not letting me. Hold on. Sorry. It wasn't letting me copy the link for whatever reason.
Take your time. I'm mapping this burrito right now.
There we go. There's your trailer. I'm with you, Landen, where I'm like, oh yeah, if I try it out, it'll definitely be for like a week, and I'm out. And I do feel like that's going to be most of the audience.
Right.
But there are people that love like the gothic scene, this has a lot of those elements to it. But yeah, it is a little weird that they're both coming out so close together. You'd think they'd push one of them to like fall and have like one half is one Bethesda title, the other half is the other Bethesda title.
Yeah.
So, let's pull up. I'm gonna pull up the game's calendar.
So much.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I'll just go to Twitter because Blessing put out his super fun games calendar for 2023 already. So let me go to @Blessing Jr. Okay, so here we go. Blessing super fun game calendar. Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable are both coming out in January. Monster Hunter Rise is coming out in January. SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake, which is Game of the Year for 2023, that's coming out. The Dead Space remake, I forgot about that. That's coming out.
Yep.
Forspoken, Season, A Letter to the Future. February, you have Hogwarts Legacy, Wild Hearts, Atomic Heart, Like a Dragon Ishin. PSVR 2 comes out in February, along with, those titles. Octopath Traveler 2 comes out in February. I forgot Octopath Traveler 2 was a thing. I'm excited for that. Destiny 2 Lightfall. March, you have Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. This is the one that's gonna have you get in the feels. In March, Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm. I bet not. No marketing for that game at all. Still no marketing. They pushed it back. They said, sorry, it's delayed to March. And then they said, here's no new news about it at all. Here's no trailers about it. Here's nothing. There's nothing more. There's no. We don't know anything about. Like, I know we know things about the game, but as far as what we knew 3 years ago, not much.
Yeah. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming out in March. We have seen stuff for that, so you don't worry about that. Storyteller, don't know that one. Resident Evil 4 remake comes out in March. Man, this is man. Crime Boss Rockay City with that cast is coming out in March. Woo! That is what I'm not confident with the game from what we've seen of the game itself. But man, what a lineup of stars they got for that game. Holy shit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where they spend all their money. It's all like stars that are like super memeable. Like,
I don't know, it could turn out to be something special.
It could. But yeah, that comes out in March. In April, you have the Forbidden West DLC, Burning Shores. Dead Island 2. I also forgot that was a thing. In May, you have Tears of the Kingdom and Suicide Squad. June, you have Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, and Final Fantasy 16. And then the no dates, you have AEW, Alan Wake, Angerfoot, Arc Raiders, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. That's another one we've heard nothing about since its initial talk. Who's making that one? Is that also Ubisoft, or is that a different publisher? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Cocoon comes out. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Disney Illusion Island. Eternites. Oh, remember Eternites?
No.
Oh, that one was the one that was a guy played Persona and loved it so much he quit his job to become a game developer and made a Persona-like game. You should watch the trailer. That was a really epic trailer.
Okay.
I think that was PlayStation. I think that was a PlayStation game. So it's right up your alley, too.
I don't think you guys understand. I will wear that game the fuck out.
Redfall?
Yes.
You didn't even decide to skim through it. You watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole motherfucker, dog.
Yeah, dude. I knew you. Hey, I know you. I know what you like.
That gave me like Borderlands meets Vampires of the Masquerade type vibes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Or like it gave me Borderlands meets Vampire of the Masquerade type vibes with a little bit of some of that Dishonored, choose the way you go about shit kind of feel.
Yeah.
So like,
well,
dude, that's about to be an obsession.
that developer, I believe, also made what you just mentioned the name too. Dishonored. They made the Dishonored games too.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Dude, that's about to be an obsession. That's about to be a I ain't playing nothing the fuck else for months.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna come to work with 30 minutes worth of sleep kind of shit, dog.
Yeah. You can look this up on your own afterwards, but another game that you'd like that's coming out this year, Lies of P.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to play shit out of that.
Yeah, that game looks good. That game looks real good.
Oh, I forgot they mentioned this in an episode. There's a game coming out this year called I Am Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's been in the making for like 5 years.
Yeah. Well, it's Skull and Bones again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it's a pretty big lineup, like you said, for this year. So they do have stuff they gotta fight against. But yeah. I'm nervous and excited about those two Bethesda games. If you remember, they've released some things since then. But when Microsoft initially bought Bethesda, their two most recent games were
PlayStation.
Fallout 76. Well, yes, PlayStation, but they were Fallout 76, and then what was it? The Wolfenstein co-op game.
With the sisters of Wolfen, like his daughters or whatever. He has two daughters.
Yeah.
Is that what the one you're talking about? New Dawn or something like that.
I don't think it was New Dawn, but those were their two most recent games. So they were not exactly putting out great titles before.
No, they weren't.
They had a pretty bad run.
So I don't know why this just popped into my head, but back to Lies of P. Like when I saw the trailer for it, like yeah, I like the combat style. I like the paranormal gothic Victorian kind of esque vibe to it. That's not what got me. You know what made me decide I was definitely going to play this game?
What's that?
There's a thing in the trailer where there's these 4 people all wearing masks, and one of them's carrying a coffin. One of them straight up has a Donnie Darko mask. And I was like, I have to play this now because fucking Donnie Darko mask. That was the selling point for me.
Yeah.
One character that I have no idea what their importance in the story is was wearing a Donnie Darko, the fucking corpse bunny type mask. And I'm like, I need to play this now.
Well, you really do love yourself some Donnie Darko.
I'm not just a goth kid for the aesthetic. I am a goth kid at heart.
Well, if you liked or didn't even like this podcast, make sure to do all the things, like hitting the like button and the bell at the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving a high rating on whatever podcast service you use so you can find like-minded people. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefing-room, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards as well. That's all from us. Take care.